Welcome back to The Rundown. Targeted assassinations are carried out by governments around the world, a way of pursuing national security goals in the shadows. Supporters of the tactics say it's effective and minimizes collateral damage. Critics call it amoral and often illegal. Either way, for decades, it's been considered to be one of Israel's weapons of choice. One unbelievable case is being revealed in a just-published New York Times piece by Ronen Bergman in an adaptation from his forthcoming book, Rise and Kill First: The Secret History of Israel's Targeted Assassinations. I caught up with him on what he calls Ariel Sharon's obsession with killing Yasser Arafat and just how far he went to try and make it happen.
Ariel Sharon, as the Israeli Ministry of Defense in the 80s, was no less than obsessed to kill Yasser Arafat. He had two goals when invading Lebanon. First, to destroy what he calls the state of the PLO, Fatah land, the whole infrastructure of the PLO built in Lebanon, and the second is to kill Arafat. So it was equated to the actual military purpose of that operation. Even before the invasion, he supported a huge operation in Beirut to explode the VIP platform that was supposed to host the PLO on their anniversary day, the 1st of January 1982. That plan was averted only thanks to few Israeli military intelligence officers and a deputy minister who came to Prime Minister Begin and said, the Russian ambassador, Mr. Soldakov, is going to be on that stage. We should not take them out because that would put us in a tight spot with the Soviet Union. And Begin, who was very strict with not quarreling with the Russians, told them to stand down.
That case that you mentioned, Project Olympia, that was not the last time that officers, even senior figures from within the Israeli establishment, tried to stop it.
After the invasion to Lebanon, Sharon called for the establishment of a special task force called Saltfish. And Task Force Saltfish was supposed to point out the whereabouts of Yasser Arafat so the Israeli Air Force can bomb that. Later on, that all failed. Saltfish, because it called for the Air Force to bomb buildings where Arafat is, it also involved the endangering of many innocents' lives. And people on the ground, Saltfish operatives, refused to send that information to the Chief of Staff because they thought that this could result in the killing of many innocents. And there was a quarrel there between the Chief of Staff, Rafael Eitan, who was working on behalf of Sharon, and these officers. And they told me, listen, you should not teach us about ethics of war. We cannot give you that information. And when he insisted, they just bluffed him. They said that the target is not ripe from the intelligence point of view to make sure that these bombs do not fall on these buildings.
So at some point, Saltfish morphs into something else, something that many might find much more controversial, even shocking.
Later on, after Arafat left Beirut, was forced to evacuate, Ariel Sharon ordered the Air Force to take down private and commercial planes in which he was. Now, that is this is inconceivable. And people from the Air Force, brave senior officers of the Air Force, said, we are not going to do that. Now, because they couldn't stand vis-a-vis in front of Sharon, who was charismatic, and who actually took control of the whole of the Israeli executive branch, because Begin, Prime Minister, sank into depression, they just jammed the operation. They made sure that the communication doesn't work. They fed everybody with misinformation. They did everything they could just to make it impossible to execute. And for a few times, airplanes were called to intercept airplanes where Arafat was. And in all times, they were called back. That continued until more or less January or February 1983, when Ariel Sharon was forced to step down because of his wrongdoings during the war.